Many people are going to try to make this about anything but what this show is truly about. From a line that I read a long time ago by Thomas Jefferson, question with boldness. Now, I don't know how many answers I can give to you this week, but I will flood, as George Washington called it, the battlefield of ideas with questions, honest questions. I want you to go get a notepad. I want you to take notes on every show this week, please. Then take those notes and do your own homework. Ask these questions of yourself and then demand answers from Washington, because America is at stake. And we're not talking about my America or my vision of America. It's your vision of America. What do you think America should look like? And by the way, questioning your government is not only important, but in a democratic republic, it is required of each of us. So, if you're somebody who watches television, scratch your head and say, that doesn't make any sense. This week, I ask you, sit down, write some notes, call a friend right now and say, watch the program on Fox right now. Then stand up and come follow me. Hello, America. This week I'm doing a special series of shows. It's called A New Republic, America's Future, but I don't know about you, maybe I'm the only one. I didn't have a problem with the old republic. I think this special is more aptly titled Reasonable Questions for an Unreasonable Time. All this week, we're going to be covering these topics, President Obama, but you will quickly see this isn't about President Obama. It is so much more. We're going to talk about the left and internationalists and graft and acorn-style organizations and revolutionaries and hidden agendas. Hidden agendas. Boy, you're going to learn a lot about hidden agendas tonight. I have to tell you that I've been in broadcast for 33 years, radio and television. This is the hardest week of broadcast I've had in my life, because I feel it is a culmination of something that started a long time ago. I have been trying to figure out what's going on in my country and your country, with my president and your president, Bush and Obama. When Bush argued with a straight face that he could protect America while keeping our borders wide open, I looked at the television and went, what? I knew at the time that it was a lie, and so did you. You were probably angry. I was as well. You didn't understand it. But you know what? Americans have this thing called a life and family. We got angry and then we just took it. You probably didn't do anything but watch closely and get more and more frustrated. Well, luckily, or maybe luckily, my family, I go home every night with my kids and I read to them and we have a normal life. But my job is this. I get to watch closely. I have researchers. I have access to information. So I started looking, and I started looking back then. And over the last few years, I tell you quite honestly, I have come to believe things that I do not want to believe. They are uncomfortable. They have made me, much to the aid of Jon Stewart's wallet, weep for my country. If you don't understand somebody who can weep for their country, well then that's okay. But that's who I am. I told you yesterday that there are 3 principles that this show is going to drum through in the next week. In fact, it may be our mantra for a very long time. Question with boldness. It's something that changed my life, that Thomas Jefferson said. Question, honest questioning. Question with boldness. Then the second step is, once you find the truth, whatever it is, hold to it. Hold to the truth. And the third one, speak without fear. I have to tell you, if you don't do those 3 things soon, you haven't even begun to see fear. I want to focus on the second one tonight, just for a bit. If you truly ask what Thomas Jefferson called honest questions with a sincere heart, I have found that the answers in all aspects of your life may take you to a very uncomfortable place. Tonight, they're going to take you, and this week, they're going to take you to places that you don't want to go. Nobody wants to think that our president is a bad guy. I don't know if he is. I mean, he actually seems like a likable guy. He may be the greatest guy ever. but is he in step with you and what you believe our country is? When you hear evidence to the contrary, you have a decision to make. Will you bury your head in the sand, refusing to believe because it doesn't fit your political agenda or it just doesn't fit with your comfort level? Or will you hold to the truth, whatever it is, so you can be part of the solution and not an enabler to the problem? We must look at our country not as today's politics, but the future place where our children will grow up. Will they be free? On last night's show, I asked tough questions about the president's special advisors, his czars. The White House didn't like. They called in the middle of the show. Don't call them czars. Really? Oh, does that bother you? These people have the ear of the President of the United States. We have a right to know more about them. What are they telling the President of the United States? Is he listening to them? Who are they? The first one we talked about was Van Jones, a self-proclaimed radical revolutionary communist. His words, not mine. A man who co-founded an organization whose own concluding documents, not ancient history, just a few years ago, said, quote, all of Storm's members developed a basic understanding of and commitment to revolutionary Marxist policies, with a particular emphasis on the historical experiences of third world communist movements. Gee, would that be anything like Hugo Chavez, Venezuela? When we asked the White House if they knew about Jones's radical roots, and if it gave them pause to make him a special advisor, I like to call them czars, the White House told us he was, quote, focused on only one issue. Well, first of all, that's not an answer to the question. And beyond that, he's a communist. Focused on what? Job creation. Let me ask the White House this question. What kind of jobs does a communist create? Let me continue to ask, who has the president surround himself with? Who I associate with. On economic policy, I associate with Warren Buffett and former Fed Chairman Paul Volcker. If I'm interested in figuring out my foreign policy, I associate myself with my running mate Joe Biden or with Dick Lugar, the Republican ranking member on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, or General Jim Jones, the former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO. Those are the people, Democrats and Republicans, who have shaped my ideas and who will be surrounding me in the White House. Okay. I'm only taking his advice. You want to know what he believes? See the people he surrounds himself with. That's his advice. Great. Please, America, let's follow his advice. We already know of at least 5 radical leftists currently advising the President of the United States. And these are just the ones who are open about their radical beliefs and far-left ideas. 1. Van Jones, introduced you to him last night. He's our green job czar, admits he's a communist. John Holdren, the science czar, the forced abortions guy. He has also said, and I quote, neither the Declaration of Independence nor the Constitution mentions a right to reproduce, end quote. This is in context referring to, you may have a 2-baby limit, and the government has a right to say, no more children for you. Cass Sunstein, another advisor to the president, the regulatory czar, proposed bans on hunting and eating meat. He has also proposed that your dog be allowed to have an attorney in court. And also a fairness doctrine for the internet, because it gets a little dicey out there. He has stepped away from the last one, but we'll talk about what the czars have in mind for a fairness doctrine tomorrow, joined by Rush Limbaugh. Carol Browner, she's our global warming czar. She was part of Socialist International. This is a group for global governance. Can we stop there? Are you for a global government? Are you for someone who is for a global government and a socialist having the ear of the President of the United States? Then we have Ezekiel Manuel, healthcare advisor. He is a proponent of the complete lives system, which puts values on lives based mostly on age. Now, here's an honest question. How many Marxist, communist, anti-capitalist do you have around you on a daily basis?